What are my orders?
I got you, boss. Let's get it on! Go this way!
Speed of light!
Time to get down to business.
As per our contract. Everyone has their limits.
I got you, boss. I got you, boss.
Take me back. Ugh.
Let's go. Time is against us. Don't blink! Right idea. Wrong time.